Hi folks, welcome to our first how to play video for Soul 3. This is specifically using our tabletop simulator mod. In the future you'll also be able to use our physical copies as well. There'll only be a couple differences between them obviously, but I will try and note them as we go through. This is also the first of our how to play videos, so welcome, and we hope you stick around and enjoy the game. So today we're going to look at how to use one of the intro decks, either one of the ones in the manual from the intro box, or one of the intro decks set to the sides of the board on the Tabletop Simulator mod. So in Tabletop Simulator, what you're first going to do is pull out each of the individual pieces. First off is going to come out the maps. We're going to be using the Deneb Allied Colonies intro deck today. So your map tiles, which we're going to mostly ignore today. We're going to go over maps in the future. Your hanger, your piece involving your capital, specifically for the Deneb deck, that's the hammerhead. Then your deck itself, followed by your mission set, your crew, and lastly, your armory, the upgrades that you can use on your units when you fly them into combat. So, to get started, in a normal game, you and your opponent will take turns going back and forth, setting up the map in this 3x3 grid. You'll notice there's a centerpiece, 2 deployment tiles, 2 open corner tiles, and 4 side tiles. For the moment, we're going to ignore that. We're going to do a separate video on setting up the map, as that takes just a little bit to go over, and I'd like to go over also the individual components of the map. If I go through this real quick, you'll be able to see there's different types of terrain you can see in a map. So we'll go over maps in general at a later date. For now, skipping the map setup. So let's go piece by piece. You've got your hangar. Your hangar is going to consist of 6 total units. In the intro set, you're going to have 3 of one and 3 of another. And you're just going to set those over off to the side in your hangar space. Those are open information, so any player can look at it at their opponent's hangar at any point in time to see what units are in their hangar. Next, you're going to take your deck, which is 25 to 30 cards. The intro decks are 26 cards each. And go ahead and shuffle that. Put that into the deck area to your left. Take your armory. Your armory is also entirely open information, so at any point in time your opponent may ask to look through your armory. When constructing your armory, that consists of 15 total pips, these little icons up here. Let me scroll through to see if we can find one that costs more than 1. There we go. 15 total pips, or sorry, 12 total pips apiece. Some various cards will allow you to go up to larger amounts, such as in this deck, your crew. So let's go over crew real quick. You are always in the Cruiser Clash format going to have up to 4 crew. Cruiser Clash is the standard format of the game, and both the intro decks go with 4 crew. There's not really much reason to have less than 4, so let's kind of go over here. So line up your crew along your right side. You'll notice each crew has a little modifier in the upper right hand corner. Those modifiers determine what your turn command is each turn. Command is the main resource of the game. So you'll see in the Deneb Allied Colonies deck we have +3, -1, 0, and +1. So that adds up to a total modifier of 3, meaning each turn this deck will be generating 3 command to use. Now that can change turn to turn depending on various different effects, but that is your baseline that you go with. So next you're going to grab your missions. Now this is where things change a little bit as setup starts. So at the start of setup, each player is going to grab their primary mission, which determines their faction, and place that in their primary mission slot. So we're going to leave that there for now. We've still got 4 additional missions here. So leaving that for now to finish the rest of setup, then going to take out the hammerhead selections here. So one is the actual capital card itself, which has all the main details for the ship itself. And how capitals work, they are where you launch all your units from. So at the start of the game, all you will have on the board is your capital. A capital card displays the number of crew it can carry on the left, the number of units it can carry on the right, its faction up to the left here, the capital icon up on the right, its armor rating, which is the amount of damage it can take before it takes critical damage over to the right, and its weapon settings on the left. The large number, the large red number to the left, is a capital's primary weapon, which can only fire straight ahead of it. That's only usable against other capitals. So it's such things as gigantic, large cannons that just don't have enough tracking in order to take down a smaller ship. Then below that, there is a weapon style, which determines the capital's secondary weapon range, and then the attack value of the capital's secondary weapon. And then in the center, the capital's tag and any special rules that the capital has. In the image for the capital, lower in the lower right corner here, you'll notice there's a little grid with an icon showing the capital, and then various different capitals will have a different grid located here. The hammerhead has this little arrow pointing backwards in the space behind the capital icon. That means that when it's deploying units, it can deploy a unit to the rear facing that direction. Different capitals have different deployment options, so when you're constructing a deck, that's something to be aware of. Now, moving on to the rest of getting your capital set up, you're going to want to take your capital's damage deck and set that there and shuffle it. When each time your capital has suffered damage equal to or greater than its armor, it discards all damage currently on it and then receives a card from its damage deck. If there are no more cards left in its damage deck when it receives damage, instead damage is dealt directly to your deck, meaning that you discard a number of cards from the top of your deck equal to the amount of damage dealt. So, now that we're done with setting up everything except the missions and the map, again, we'll go over map another time, let's come take a look over at missions here. So how mission setup works is that the first player selects one of their 4 missions that they want to perform during the game. So let's say we're going to try and cover the board with units that we want to just keep around. So let's take the solid coverage mission and place that face up. Second player then selects a mission the same way, takes one mission and selects it face up, having that knowledge of what first player selected. Second player then also selects a second mission and places it face down. So they have made their selection, but the first player does not get the benefit of seeing what that mission is before selecting their next mission. Once the second player has selected their 2 missions, one face up and one face down, then first player selects their second mission. Based on whatever the second player placed, first player can then counter select. So that we select that after first player has selected their second mission, then second player reveals their second mission, and mission selection is complete. After missions have been selected and after everything else has been set up, then starting with first player, select the piece that matches your capital. So for the capital here for the Deneb set, Deneb intro deck, we have the hammerhead. So we're going to go over here. All these pieces are locked just to prevent any errors during loading. So we're going to unlock the hammerhead. You can then either drag it directly over to the board, or you can simply copy it and then relock it to keep it there for later. And when setting up your pieces initially, any of these spaces that are shaded on your side of the board are your deployment areas. Like noted before, there is there are 2 deployment tiles in each map, 2 open corner tiles in each map, 4 side tiles in each map, and 1 center tile in each map. And the deployment corner tiles must be on opposite corners. So that means that you can't be deployed right next to each other. It's always going to be on the opposite edge. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to paste in our hammerhead piece here, since we had unlocked, copied, and relocked. And the hammerhead can be facing any direction in any of these 3 spaces. Now, rotation is always 90 degrees, and how you know what the facing is, the back of a piece always shows a silhouette, whereas the front of the piece shows the art matching the art on the card. So you can see the art over here is just a blueprint now, as we are still working on getting an actual art for the hammerhead, which will likely look different, but this is a solid stand-in for now. So, for instance, if I'm wanting to set my piece up to go towards this open corner here, I'll take it, I'll put it in this corner, and rotate it so that the front is facing that way and the back is facing over here. And then my opponent, second player, would then select and place their piece in a corner in a similar manner, or if they wanted to stay further away, they could set up in that back corner piece in their deployment corner as well. Once deployment is done, each player draws 4 cards from their deck, and play begins with first player. And that is set up for a game of Sol 3. But again, ignoring the map, we will go over the map in a separate video. Hope you guys like this. If you have any questions, you can post them to our Discord server or in the comments below. Look forward to more videos in our How to Play series. We'll go over all the individual parts of each individual card and how to progress through a turn. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you later.